Do you see that? There is no snow. This is our first Christmas in this old farmhouse, our first Christmas out of Wyoming, but there are some things that will always be the same, and that is the Christmas tradition of baking. My mama used to make loads and loads of cookies for friends and family and neighbors, and I like to do the same. But I don't like to spend a whole day of baking. So instead, we are going to make about 17 dozen cookies. We're going to do some preparation by preparing these freezer cookies ahead of time so that they'll be all ready to go the week before Christmas. The first thing I do is make sure that pantry is stocked and ready to go by the time the holidays come around. Come fall, September, October, November, the grocery stores are often doing a lot of bulk sales, and this is a good time to make sure you have plenty of flour and sugar and butter and start thinking about all the things that you're going to need. Another thing I did was write down all the ingredients. I listed all the ingredients that I would need, and I made sure I had enough butter and eggs and all the special ingredients I would need to make all of these cookie doughs here in one day. The first recipe that we're going to start with today is a chocolate cherry cheesecake bar, and it is the only one that we are actually going to bake in advance because it freezes better when it's already made up. And so I'm starting this the night before so it can sit in the fridge overnight before I chop it and freeze it. The brownies are dense and fudgy and made with bittersweet chocolate. And of course, the cherry cheesecake filling on top is to die for. This recipe actually won a Christmas baking competition many years ago, and I have been making it every Christmas ever since, and it just wouldn't be the same without this in the lineup. Almond extract, chocolate, and maraschino cherries make a beautiful marriage of flavors. Cookie bars are always a great way to go if you are making a large batch of dessert. They go a very long way and take very little time. The bars were baked the night before and left in the fridge to chill before cutting. Make sure you take the time to measure out how you're going to cut your bars in advance. I did about 2-inch bars and got about 4 dozen bars out of this sheet pan. Oh my goodness, these bars are so fudgy and delicious. You're going to need to save a few of them, put them on the counter for your family to eat right away. They are so good. And I'm just going to store them all in a gallon freezer Ziploc bag and pull them out when I'm ready to put them on the cookie plate. Next in the lineup are chocolate raspberry thumbprint cookies. These are my absolute favorite Christmas cookie. They've actually become my kids' favorite Christmas cookie, and they ask for them every year. These are the cookies my mama would make growing up, and it just wouldn't be the same without them. This recipe is derived from a Martha Stewart basic Christmas sugar cookie dough that you can make and turn into several different types of cookies. The key to this cookie dough is letting the butter and sugar get fluffy. So let that turn for a good 5 minutes and add in the flour nice and slow. You want to keep that dough nice and light and fluffy. I have doubled the batch for this basic sugar cookie dough, and half of the batch is going to go straight into the freezer to make as sugar cutout cookies. My kids absolutely love rolling out sugar cookies and cutting them out. These are the cookies that they love to give to Santa Claus. So I always have some of this dough in the freezer around Christmas time. When you know you're going to bake these sugar cookies, pull the dough out of the freezer and set them in the fridge in the morning or the day before so that they'll be ready to make into cookies. And I'm sure you're thinking, really? More chocolate, Jenny? Yes, and I'm not ashamed. Chocolate is my absolute favorite. If you want to, you can skip the chocolate and make these vanilla Thumbprint cookies. You also could add apricot or peach jam or whatever flavor of jam you want. You could do a mix of vanilla and chocolate. So there's so much room for creativity here and choosing what flavors you love best. You can either melt your chocolate over the stove or in the microwave. I do mine in the microwave, intermittently, 30 seconds on and off, stirring frequently. Freeze the dough prior on a cookie sheet for about 30 minutes to an hour before storing them away in a freezer gallon bag so that they don't all stick together. The reason why preparing these cookies ahead of time makes it so much easier for you is that having all of these balls of dough pre-frozen, you just have to put them on a baking sheet and bake them for a minute or two longer, and it saves you so much time, and they're all ready to go when you need them. Each cookie that makes it into my traditional Christmas cookie lineup is there for a reason, and is there because of a special person or a memory that's attached to it. These next cookies are inspired by a friend that I made many years ago when I had my first baby. She was like an adopted grandparent since we lived so far away from home, and she would always have these cookies sitting on a cookie jar in her kitchen. They are a soft and chewy molasses ginger cookie, and she would make them from a secret family recipe that I will not be divulging to you today. Instead, I'm going to share with you a different recipe that I found online that is very similar, soft and chewy and full of ginger. I've added crystallized ginger to this recipe for the first time because I am a huge ginger fan, and I'm sure it will be all the more delicious. This is a great large batch of Christmas cookies. Depending on how big you make these cookies, they make about 6 to 7 dozen cookies. And to test out this method, I'm just going to bake a few cookies here to show you. You can pull them straight out of the freezer and put your cookie dough right onto the cookie sheet. You can bake all these cookies at 350 degrees. If they're frozen, just add a minute or two. I usually like to pull my cookies out when they're just a little bit underdone. So for about 8 minutes normally. So I'm going to bake these for about 9 to 10 minutes and see how they turn out. Just add 1 or 2 minutes for frozen cookies. Or you could put them on the cookie sheet and leave them out for an hour or so to thaw if you want to. For the Thumbprint cookies, you're just going to press your thumb into the cookies while they're still pretty warm, leaving an indent for the jam to go into. Then you're going to dollop a small amount of raspberry jam into the center of each cookie. This bit of preparation makes Christmas baking so much easier and so doable. This took about 3 hours for me to make about 17 dozen cookies, so you could spread this out over a few days of baking in advance to get all the cookies done. As a Christmas gift to you, I am giving you all of these recipes. I've made these printables that you can print out and put into your own cookbook so you can add them to your family favorites. I'll be here each week, restoring home, family, and spirit. And if you're here each week, I would like you to press the like button, share with some friends, make a comment, let me know you're here, and have a fabulous Christmas. I'll catch you next time. Love you lots.